Kicking off a big day in Big East hoops from Cincinnati, Ohio, home to a top 10 team in the Xavier Musketeers. Their fans glad to have them back inside the Cintas Center, taking on the Georgetown Hoyas. We are in the thick of Big East play. Xavier atop the league at 7-1. Marquette right behind them. Two of these teams in the Big East ranked in the top 20 lost this week, including the Musketeers at DePaul earlier on in the week. As we welcome you courtside, Matt Schumacher, Nick Baugh with you. Nick was at that game at DePaul, so an interesting deal for Xavier today, snapping that 11-game winning streak. On the other side, Georgetown hungry for a win. We know their streak has been long, but they are coming off a really good game against Villanova.
Yeah.
What do you expect in this game today?
Well, I expect both teams to play angry for different reasons of what you kind of just laid out. And in particular with Xavier, thought Sean Miller put it interesting in a press conference. First game, they didn't play well offensively, and some decision-making started to wane a little bit. Shot selection and some turnovers as well. Be curious how the X-Men come out and operate offensively. But speaking of offense, first two times these two teams played, 102-89. So if you like offense, I think this is the game for you.
They made a lot of shots.
Yes.
In that game. Let's take a look at the starting lineups this afternoon, brought to you by Jeep. There's only one for Xavier, 4 scorers in the top 20 in the conference in points per game. Meanwhile, for Georgetown, Nick, they are now without 2 of their top 3 scorers because Brandon Murray is missing his 5th game today with a lower leg injury.
Certainly a big blow to the backcourt, so a lot more pressure on Primo Spears, but I also think Wahab needs to step up and score the interior for the Hoyas as well.
Always a good scene at the Cintas Center. Trying to get back in the win column and stay atop the Big East. And here we go from Cincinnati. The X-Men control the tip. Xavier in the all-white. Georgetown in the road blues.
Something Patrick Ewing talked to us about was playing defense without fouling. Trying to contain the ball, especially with the short bench. You can't deal with a ton of foul trouble if you're Georgetown.
That was something that really came up in their loss at Villanova. The Wildcats shot over 30 free throws as Colby Jones rolls to the basket, and the opening points to the Musketeers.
Great side-to-side movement, and how about the seal from Nunji right at the basket to make that layup really easy for Colby Jones.
So no Brandon Murray, no Jay Heath for the Hoyas. Where do they get their scoring today? That's a big question mark. Off by Colby Jones. Here is Sule Boom, one of the top 3 scorers in the Big East. Down to Fremantle, and he gets it past Primo Spears. And already a timeout taken by Patrick Ewing.
Well,
wow, doesn't like what he sees in the opening couple of possessions.
Well, you give up a layup, you have a turnover, and then Spears is fronting. He's doing his job. I mean, when you're a guard and you get a mismatch with a big man on you try to front and you need backside help. But you got to have better awareness. And so certainly Coach Ewing trying to get attention early from his group.
You brought this up earlier, talking about Sean Miller. He said in that loss against DePaul, it was really the first time this year that he felt like they didn't run who they are, Nick. And he felt like a lot of that was because things weren't going their way offensively.
Been such a buzzsaw offensively. There's really been few and far between any moments where Xavier hasn't been great offensively. But this is a team that leads the country in assists, and I thought their assist numbers really told the story. Much lower assist total in that loss at DePaul. That ball wasn't moving.
Only had 13 after they had 5 in the opening 4 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and they averaged just under 21 assists a game.
Here is Wahab. Back to play for Coach Ewing after he began his career at Georgetown, 1 year at Maryland. Coach Ewing said after their 4-point loss at Villanova earlier this week that he still sees fight in his team. There's no giving up here. They're hungry for a win.
They've actually competed pretty good on the road this year. Held some second-half leads, been in a lot of games, just haven't been able to seal the deal.
2 to shoot. Primo Spears at the buzzer. The Duquesne transfer has been the man for Georgetown this year.
He can really score, but he's not a great three-point shooter. Certainly had to get that one up at the end of the clock, but Spears has got some offensive game.
Fremantle! Oh, almost posterized A cook, but a good contest at the rim.
Wow. Yeah, a couple of pretty good plays here. Great big-to-big pass, but how about a cook? Leads this team in block shots. Not being afraid to get put on a poster. Goes up, blocks it. Pretty good from a cook.
And coming against a guy in Fremantle who's nearly averaging a double-double in league play. Post play should be interesting today, Nick. As a cook knocks down a deep two.
Well, sometimes when you make a play on defense, it helps you on offense. You're in more of a rhythm and flow. A cook with the block and then the triple.
Boom. Backdoor rejected. A cook pinned it against the window, but they will call goaltending. Now, somebody came with a little spring in his step for the early tip.
Couple cups of coffee from a cook this morning. He's ready to rock. You know, it's goaltending. It's the right call. Hit the backboard. But those kinds of things, those are tone-setting plays. Those two blocks from a cook, even though one's a goaltender. Xavier's running good offense, though. That ball's at the rim.
Adam Kunkel gives it down to Nunji. And the right hand goes. He and Fremantle both averaging just shy of a double-double in league play.
Yeah, between the two of them, about 28 points and 16 rebounds a game. And I thought that's where the ball didn't go enough on Wednesday in the loss to DePaul. Got to get those big fellas touches.
Oh, it's interesting you bring that up, Nick, because those two guys had double-doubles against DePaul. And so you think when you look at a box score and the two bigs for Xavier have double-doubles, they would win the game going away, but that wasn't the case.
No, just didn't get enough touches, in my opinion. And you look at those numbers. I mean, offensively, it's been incredible to watch Xavier operate. The way they share the ball, the efficiency, but the assist numbers are the big thing to keep an eye on.
Fremantle just misses out on a chance at a three-point play, and he will head to the line for two shots. Xavier has dominated this series overall, although Georgetown did catch them in a big win back in 2021. And there have been some tight games in this series. And certainly, Nick, as we've talked about, it's not like Georgetown's been getting blasted in every league game this year. They had a chance with less than 20 seconds to play, down one at Villanova, before the Wildcats picked off a pass and had a run-out jam. And they were right there in that game against the Wildcats.
Yeah, well, the one thing about Georgetown is they can score. They got some offensive talent. They got a man in the interior in Wahab that gives them a post presence. Spears can really go. They're dealing with some injuries right now, but again, first matchup, 102-89.
Both Heath and Murray out. Heath has been out since before the new year. Two of their top three scorers for Georgetown. Can they keep pace with a top 10 offense in the country in Xavier? A cook again with the rejection. Wow.
Some really good offense, but just better defense.
And Fremantle's been blocked at the rim a couple of times in the opening 4 minutes. Kunkel at three. Yes.
You got to get sorted out in transition, Matt. And Kunkel, Jones, Boom, those guys are hunting triples. Good pass from Boom on the skip.
8-0 run for the Musketeers.
Can't turn it over if you're Georgetown.
Is there a better player in the NCAA getting to his spot than Primo Spears?
He's pretty good. One-on-one, that mid-range, the crossovers, he's got some stuff in his bag.
So does Zach Fremantle. Left hand, right hand. He's really elevated his game since Big East play kicked off.
Even though there's been a couple of blocks, I love that the X-Men are trying to attack the paint and attack the rim.
Tapped out. It'll stay with Georgetown when we come back. 14-7 lead for the Musketeers. Man, it started out as a block party, but how about the Muskies? 75% from downtown. Georgetown not going quietly, hungry for their first league win of the season. Musketeers have made 4 out of their last 5. They have led from the opening tip, coming off of a shocking loss in Chicago against DePaul. Of course, Villanova handing Georgetown another loss. It was really tight for the Hoyas. They were right there at the end. Couldn't ultimately get the win. For Xavier, they trailed most of that game, Nick. It was 30 minutes of leading that game for DePaul, and ultimately coming away with their first loss in conference play. But to your point earlier in the game, Georgetown's been right there.
Yes. Look at that. And those are against some pretty good teams. UConn, Marquette, Villanova, DePaul is pretty talented. And Georgetown has held leads in the second half of all of those games. But I asked Coach Ewing before the game, have you noticed a common denominator on when it goes wrong? And he said, not really. It's something different each game. But Georgetown has been competitive on the road.
Cook has been competing on both ends. 4 points and 2 blocks for the UConn transfer.
But right now, the X-Men are dominating inside. 10 points in the paint from Xavier.
Tap back is good. Jerome Hunter, fresh off the bench. He's been an X factor, and he's getting it done here in his opening minutes.
Sean Miller has called Hunter the 6th starter. He's been important for Xavier off the bench with hustle and energy plays just like that tip-in.
Spears draws a foul. Jones riding his back to the floor. And Jerome Hunter, total rebirth under Sean Miller in his second season at Xavier. And Nick, he's just bought into his role.
But look at it. Just look at the three-point attempts. Last year, 66. This year, 3. And now look at the field goal percentage. He's become a much more efficient player, and he's buying in to hustle plays just like you saw. Crashing the offensive glass. Hunter's kind of transformed his mindset, and it's transformed his game.
Haven't seen a shot attempt from Wahab yet in this game. Forced to heave out of the double. 5 to shoot. And picked up by Fremantle.
I like that. Doubling Wahab in the post. Wahab's only got 3 assists on the season. Not a great decision maker when he's facing doubles.
Hunter. How about the footwork? Lays it in with the left hand.
Just such a more efficient offensive player. Sean Miller has come in and really gotten Hunter to buy in to his role.
Offensive foul gives it back to the Musketeers. Look at this.
How about this step through? Watch Jerome Hunter. Last year he was camped down to the three-point line. This year he's up and under step throughs over a Cook who has shown to be a pretty good shot blocker here so far this afternoon. But Hunter coming in right away. Get an offensive rebound tip in. You get a post up at the basket. And he's versatile defensively. He can be mobile.
Picks up an assist, feeding it to Fremantle.
Man, this is the Xavier offense that you've seen all year. And this was what wasn't really there Wednesday at DePaul in the loss. The ball movement, throwing the ball inside, attacking the paint.
16 zip points in the paint in favor of the Musketeers. They outscored Georgetown in the Big East opener 50-36 in the paint. Ultimately scored 102 in that game.
Well, listen, Boom's a stud, and you could argue right now he's probably the front runner for Big East Player of the Year. But to me, what makes the X-Men really special are the 2 dudes inside. Nunji and Fremantle are a load.
Primo Spears doing his best to keep Georgetown within striking distance, up to 7 points. Tapped away, scooped up by a Cook. Mazzone. That has not been their game this year, shooting less than 32% from downtown. Kunkel, unabated, lays it in.
That's twice you've seen layups at the rim, one from Jones, one from Kunkel, where Fremantle and Nunji just posting up occupies that help defender to come over and block shots. So sometimes you got to hold your seal on a drive, and sometimes you got to move. This match here, Matt.
Spears. Yes, he is automatic with the dribble pull-up.
And from an old Hoya Iverson, he's got that Iverson cross, that hanging left to right cross. That's his go-to move.
And the zone mixing it up defensively. A foul call that goes against Desmond Claude. And back to Georgetown. You know, defense is something that Patrick Ewing has preached time and again this season. When they've been healthy, when they've been operating efficiently, this is a really good offensive team.
Yeah.
It's making the stops that has sometimes been a real issue for them.
Well, what's funny is there could be such a thing as defensive chemistry, and it can be tough to capture where you trust guys, you know what you're doing, you're able to communicate and anticipate, you know where guys are and their strengths lie, and I think that's also an area where Georgetown is searching a little bit too.
Claude taps the pass to Boom. Kiki Tandy fresh into the game off the Xavier bench. And a foul will go against Wayne Bristol Jr.
Right, how about the action early here in the Cintas Center? A lot of emotion, a lot of good offensive displays from the X-Men.
Big East basketball is sponsored by Jeep. There's only one. Welcome back inside the Cintas Center. 18 of Xavier's 22 points, Nick, have come in the paint. They are dominating down low.
Clearly was the emphasis coming in. Attack the rim, attack the paint. Jones got the party started with the drive, and then the big fellas have done a good job in early post-ups. See Fremantle with the mismatch, Nunji with the quick jump hook. Fremantle again, he's got a great left hand as a right-handed player. 18 zip points in the paint.
Xavier is 10 of 13. They've shot 77%. And for a guy like Patrick Ewing, a dominant post player in his time, not only at Georgetown but in the NBA, this just has to drive him a little bit bonkers.
You think about his Knicks teams, those guys were some hard-rocking dudes inside, led by that man right there. And certainly some more resistance at the rim has to occur as you have a nice set play on the lob.
Well, for all the talk about the way this season and the way really the last 2 years have gone for Georgetown, Patrick Ewing still gives them credit. They've not wavered. They've continued to work, listening to coaching. And we've talked to coaches around the league, Nick. They're certain Georgetown is going to pick up a couple of wins in league play.
Yeah, there's definitely, I think it's pretty clear. You can tell they're continuing to fight and continuing to scrap. Again, we pointed it out. They've held leads in the second half of all 4 of their Big East road games.
Kiki Tandy, a tough floater goes. It's not like this Georgetown team doesn't have talent either. One of the main issues has been injuries. No Brandon Murray, no Jay Heath. 2 of their top 3 scorers down again today. Good offensive rebound. Riley pays it off with a triple.
Riley's coming off an 18-point performance against Nova. Patrick Ewing said it was the best game of his career. And Riley's capable. Was the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of New York. Was the Mr. Basketball in the state of New York. Like, he's got some game to him. See the little kick out as a whirl. Finding Riley, getting one to go down. Gonna have to have some guys step up and knock down some threes, especially with Murray and Heath on the sideline. Maybe Riley could be that guy. Mazzone certainly is a guy that can fill it up. Wayne Bristol Jr. off the bench. Capable three-point shooter.
And maybe getting to the foul line. No free throw attempts yet in this game for Georgetown. That was the 4th team foul, though, on Xavier. As Awuro kept it alive, but missed from point-blank range. Nunji. Missed it all.
Well, we've talked about Georgetown struggling to defend the paint. You wonder if they'll mix in some 2-3 zone. The Hoyas don't play a ton of zone. They did play a lot of zone in the first matchup against Xavier, but Xavier shot the lights out. But the zone is a good way to protect the paint. It's harder to get conventional post-ups. Something to keep an eye on.
Xavier shot 54% from 3 in their win. How about that shot from Wayne Bristol Jr. and a chance at a 4-point play.
Well, Bristol Jr. at Howard a year ago, he made 53s and he shot at 40% from 3. So he is capable. He just hasn't had extended minutes to get into a rhythm and a flow. Nice set, nice shot, a chance for a 4-point play.
Was the MEAC Rookie of the Year at Howard. Didn't play last year, of course, for Georgetown. Still, as you mentioned, figuring out where he fits in the rotation here. It's finally back to a 5-point game. Georgetown just continuing to chip away. Down to Fremantle.
Boy, good look. Fremantle and Nunji really are good passers to each other on those high lows.
Primo Spears, are you kidding me? Put him in the blender.
Yeah, Spears has kind of got that playground game to him where he can just beat you off the bounce, score in a variety of ways. This is a tough layup. Spears has really kept the Hoyas afloat here.
11 points, leads all scorers in the game, does Primo Spears. Meanwhile, Sule Boom, Xavier's leading scorer, just 1 shot attempt. Jones, too many steps.
Well, this is straight Rucker Park right here. He loves the crossovers and he loves the spins. And how about going up into the trees, high off the glass? Little English gets it to go down. Well, right now, if you're Xavier, you've got to contain Spears, but there's also got to be guys in the help gap to make someone else make a shot right now.
Spears a 3. We are tied at 24. And a timeout taken by Sean Miller. 11-0 Hoya run.
Well, Primo Spears, he's got 14 career games with 20 or more points, and he's on pace to make it 15 from distance. Tie game here in Cincy.
At one point, Patrick Ewing's team, just a couple of minutes ago, was down double figures. They've since gone on an 11-0 run, Nick.
And Primo Spears, the numbers tell the tale. Especially when Xavier came out and delivered the first punch. But it was Spears scoring early that kept the Hoyas at least within striking distance. And all of a sudden, they've hung in there, whether that first storm, which is always important on the road, to tie the game up. But if you're Xavier, there's just got to be more attention to detail in defending Spears. He's clearly hot and got it rolling.
14 points on 6 of 8 for Spears. Boom. Tried to draw a foul, did not. Here comes Spears. And he walked.
Not sure I saw that one, but not a huge argument from Ewing or Spears. Always tough balance when you're Spears right now. Of like, you're hot, but you got to contain it. Kind of let the game come to you. Stay aggressive.
6 turnovers for Georgetown. 5 for the Musketeers. Jones steps into a 3.
Yeah, how do you combat it? You combat it with execution. Get that ball swung from side to side. Good hard roll. Sucks in the defense. Easy pitch and catch for a triple for Jones.
Jones off the dribble, lays it in. A half reverse, shielding the defense. And that's 5 quick points for Colby Jones.
And Jones has drawn the assignment guarding Spears. Got to use his size and strength to get into the quicker, smaller Spears.
Step back.
Can live with those shots, even though he's made them. He's not a great three-point shooter.
And a foul against Wayne Bristol Jr. That is the 5th team foul on Georgetown.
Well, Colby Jones, a little 5-0 run himself after Georgetown tied the game. Got a good one here this afternoon in the Cintas Center.
5-point game at the Cintas Center. Georgetown hanging tough. Let's go inside the huddle with the Hoya head coach Patrick Ewing.
I'm good. We got to take good shots, fellas. Good shots. We want good shots down here. Keep our composure. We're taking long, tough threes. If we can get good twos, we can take good twos. Then we got to get back.
Well, this is one of the few uncontested threes that they've been able to knock down. Jordan Riley on an offensive rebound kick out, but Coach Ewing's exactly right. You understand things that are sustainable and not sustainable. Contested jump shots are usually not a recipe for a sustained offensive success, but nevertheless, they've been able to get them to go down, but you try to hunt for some easier shots if you're Georgetown.
Kunkel, backdoor, Fremantle sneaks it in.
24th point in the paint for Xavier. Just living at the rim right now.
9 points for Fremantle to go along with 5 boards. Averaging close to a double-double in league play. And there's Nunji tapping away the pass. 3-on-2. Boom! Draws a goaltend, count it. Just the second made field goal of the first half for Sule Boom. And now Xavier on a 7-0 run.
Easy call for the official. Hit the backboard first, but just a poor post passing angle for Primo Spears trying to throw the ball inside. Nunji's link, taps it out, and Xavier's off to the races. Too many turnovers for Georgetown.
7 in the game. Many of those live ball turnovers. Yes. Boom in transition. Down to Wahab. Finally, the big fella gets a post touch, his first field goal attempt.
Wahab's had 5 straight games not being in double figures. I mean, Wahab's got to get it going inside for the Hoyas.
Fremantle's in double figures with 11. And to your point, Patrick Ewing told us it's a combination of both him asserting himself and then the team finding him in his spots.
Right, you can't call a million plays for Wahab. He's got to find a way to get some offensive rebounds, run, post up himself.
Spears, lethal with the step back, 16 for the Duquesne transfer.
And that's his best shot, the little mid-range pull-up. Not a great three-point shooter, but he's good from 15.
Riley a 3, puts it down. And now Riley has a pair of triples. A guy who has recently been inserted into the starting lineup.
And only made 4 threes on the season. So Kunkel goes under that screen to play the percentages, and Riley makes him pay.
What a save by Wahab, the 6'11" center. That was like an ice cream scoop off the Georgetown bench.
Another Iverson crossover from Primo Spears.
Fremantle wiggles his way out of trouble and goes back to the foul line.
Let's watch Wahab here. He's right at half court. Watch him do his work early. He's going to try to get into the post. He's working. Good quick move. That's his best shot. Right hand, left shoulder jump hook. And then what'd you call this? A little ice cream scoop?
Little Craters ice cream scoop.
Yeah, that's right.
Our
localize it, baby.
Our crew from around the country, our production crew from all over the country. Last night they enjoyed a little black raspberry chocolate chip. The best of Cincinnati.
There we go.
By the way, 3 fouls now on Wayne Bristol Jr. This is a team that already has a short bench. Jay Heath out with injury. Brandon Murray out with injury. Primo Spears heads to the bench for a blow. And we get our first look at Denver Anglin, the freshman, wearing number 4. He will run the point now with Primo Spears on the bench.
See what offense looks like now with Spears not on the floor, but Xavier's just done such a good job attacking the paint. And it's putting pressure on the Georgetown defense.
26-4 points in the paint, and yet Georgetown's within 5 points of the Musketeers here. Great feed. A Cook with the reverse jam.
Man, a Cook has got some bounce in his step today.
Tough shot for Claude. Fremantle fighting for it. And it's back to the Hoyas.
Well, Xavier's right now offensively, it's hard to argue with any of the number. 13 team assists, 16 made baskets, shooting at 64% from the floor, but Georgetown's just made some tough shots.
Riley carried it, and it's back to Xavier. That is now the 8th turnover for Georgetown. This is a team that's averaging just under 13 turnovers a game. And it just always seems to come in the worst of spots for Georgetown. There's a chance there to tie the game, potentially.
You said not all turnovers are created equal. There's live ball versus dead ball. There's forced versus unforced. And the timing of them, like you pointed out.
Nunji.
Boy.
May I have this dance, Mr. Wahab?
You said it. The little Nunji two-step in there. That was so nice. I love when Xavier plays inside out. And they have done that here this afternoon.
Two of the best post players. Maybe not just in the conference, but in the country.
Yes.
England had it rejected by Boom. Second opportunity. 10 on the timer. What a tough shot. A Cook over the 7-footer Nunji. Right back to the big fella. And last touch by Xavier. Nunji didn't agree with it. It'll be Georgetown ball. 3-point game. A Cook showed up to play.
Georgetown trying to get back in it with the back jam. A Cook is cooking here in the first half.
That the College of Charleston had. Meanwhile, here at the Cintas Center, quite a game we have. Primo Spears averaging 15.5 a game. He has 16 in the first half.
Not a great three-point shooter, but that step-back triple got him rolling. That's his game. Crossovers, mid-range jump shots, but he's got 2 triples. But, man, is he a handful off the bounce. The Duquesne transfer is wired to score, and he has kept the Hoyas afloat in this first half with 16 points on pretty efficient shooting.
It's not like he's been left wide open.
No.
He is shaking the defense with those AI handles. He's also dished out 4 assists. And in spite of giving up 17 points off turnovers, Georgetown is within 3 with 3 minutes left in the first half. Mazzone tied again at 38.
Good offense. Little pick, roll, and replace as Mazzone is replacing the rolling Wahab. Gives him a little space, and he knocks it down out of a timeout.
Boom. Almost poked away by Wahab. 15 on the shot clock for Xavier. Jones. That'll do. From downtown.
Talk about work in the offseason, showing up in season. Just worked his tail off to improve as a three-point shooter, and Jones is now a great three-point shooter.
Claude picks up the loose ball. Steps it through, and the freshman. And one opportunity.
A good offense both ways here. Watch this roll and replace. Wahab's rolling down. It sucks the Jones into the interior, and Mazzone knocks it down, and then Colby Jones, a year ago, he probably don't even take that shot. This year, he's swishing it. And then Euro step, Desmond Claude. That is nice. Claude. I don't know what your body looked like as a freshman, Matt. Mine didn't quite look like that, though.
No.
Looking good.
He looks like a grown man.
Yes, he does.
And it's interesting. Sean Miller talked about after the really tough win here against Creighton. He felt like Desmond Claude was showing that he is becoming the best on-ball defender on this team.
Yeah, well, he's guarding Primo Spears right now. Tough assignment as Spears is going to attack him. Certainly tough when he's coming downhill at you, but him and Jones are the two perimeter defenders, and Claude's got potential to be elite in that category.
Well, both those two guys lived in the weight room.
Clearly.
According to their strength coach, Andy Kettler, Claude's put on 15 pounds since he came to campus.
That helps you survive in the Big East Conference. And there's just a non-negotiable level of strength you have to have if you want to survive in the Big East, and Claude has it.
Meanwhile, Souley Boum comes back into the ball game. Only 4 points for Boum, but we've learned over the course of the year that he is a second-half scorer. Tap out, second chance, picked off by Kunkel. Here is Boum. All kinds of contact back the other way. And then Nunji. Out to Riley. Second chance. Left it short. Azawaro into the hands of Kunkel. Helter skelter, 30 seconds here at the Cintas Center. And then an offensive foul against Jones.
Just
that
felt like
is the 7th on Xavier.
Did you feel like Xavier just needed to slow down? As Jones lowers that shoulder, always a tough call, bang, bang in the interior. Riley takes the charge. But sometimes when that game's going crazy like that, that's when you gotta, as a point guard, you gotta stop, hold it, tell everybody to breathe, and execute. And Jones gets the charge.
Jones heads to the bench with 2 fouls. So now free throws the rest of the way for both teams.
If I'm Claude, I'm going under those ball screens on Spears. I know he's made a couple of threes, but that's not his game.
Fremantle bobbled the exchange with Kunkel. Spears, crisscross, left it short. Nunji isolated in the post. Had a really tough angle against Azawaro.
Good defense from Azawaro. Didn't fight for the, bite on the shot fake. Good strength.
Final 30 seconds of the first half. It's been a good one in Cincinnati. A cook. And it'll be Xavier ball with the shot clock turned off and a 4-point lead for the Musketeers. At 1 point in this first half, led by as many as 11.
Georgetown's, despite turning it over, has hung in there with some pretty special individual offensive shot making from Primo Spears, but Xavier's done a lot of good things offensively. See what they got in store here in the final possession.
They've shot at 61% from the floor. 30 of their 43 points in the paint. Down to Fremantle. Dinks it in over a Cook. Final 3 seconds. Mazzone almost backed in a half-court heave. And it's a 6-point lead at the break for the Musketeers.
Well, we said if you like offense, this is the game for you, and it has not disappointed. Xavier, surgical offensively, and that guy, Primo Spears, was on fire.
Primo Spears, averaging 15.5 a game, has 17 in the first half. Hoyas, Musketeers, 2-possession game at the break. We're sending it to LA after the break. Back in Cincinnati, kicking off a big day in the Big East between Xavier and Georgetown. 2 teams fresh off of tight losses. Musketeers snapped an 11-game win streak. Georgetown, oh so close to beating Villanova and snapping the streak. Can they do it in the second half in Cincinnati? That is what we are here to find out. It is a 6-point game at the halftime break. As we welcome you back courtside, Matt Schumacher, Nick Baugh with you. Nick and I were talking at the halftime break. You look at the box score and you think, okay, Xavier's probably got a big lead here.
Yeah.
It's a two-possession game. What the heck is going on in the Cintas Center?
Well, what the heck happened was Primo Spears happened.
Yeah.
There's a lot that can be erased when you got a dude that's on fire, and that's what Spears was. He kept Georgetown afloat despite turning the ball over a lot, and too much of this. The X-Men had their way inside. Xavier just had a concerted effort to pound the ball in the interior. 32 points in the paint from the X-Men. I thought in the loss to DePaul, there wasn't enough of this. Attacking the rim and throwing the ball to the big fellas. Desmond Claude off the bench, nice little Euro step. Pretty efficient half from Xavier, 62% from the floor.
Let's take a look at the first half stats sponsored by the Jeep. There's only one, 19 points off of turnovers for the Musketeers. They shot at 63%. But to your point, Primo Spears, 17. That's a game high on 7 of 13. And it was a game of runs in the first half. Xavier went on a couple. Georgetown went on an 11-0 run. And in the second half this year, Nick, particularly in Big East play, Georgetown has given up big runs to start the second half. Can they stem the tide against one of the top 10 offenses in the country in Xavier? That'll help. Wahab off the roll and a two-hand jam.
Well, Spears is hot, so he's going to attract a lot of attention. 17 first half points on the pick and roll, so you get all the eyes on him, and he drops it down to Wahab for a jam. To me, if Georgetown just stops turning the ball over, it's game on for this one here.
They had 10 in the first half. And as we talked about, live ball, unforced. Nunji rejected by Wahab. And last touched by the Musketeers. One of the things that has plagued this Georgetown team is a lack of bench production in the second half. And remember, they're without Brendan Murray, they're without Jay Heath, two of their top 3 scorers. When you look at the numbers in the second half, they're in the bottom quarter in points allowed and points scored in the second half. But Primo Spears doing his best to erase that in Cincinnati.
Wow, just look like they're trying to post him up, but then just isolate him on one side, and he goes to work.
Back the other way, Sule Boom. He's a second half performer. He's up to 7.
You said it. He's got to put his foot on the gas a little more, though. He was a little quiet in Chicago in the loss to DePaul, struggled from the floor, and quiet in that first half. Too good of a player to not feel Boom all the time when he's on the court.
Wahab. Really tough shot over the 7-footer Nunji. That's back-to-back buckets for Wahab.
Yeah, 3 possessions, 3 baskets for the Hoyas early.
Wahab only took 2 shot attempts in the first half. And to your point on the other side about Sule Boom, he was 1 for 12 in that game against DePaul. But traditionally this season he has been the closer for the Musketeers.
That's right. In the final 5-6 minutes of games, Boom has been lights out.
Late whistle comes in. It goes against Sule Boom on the shot attempt. And Cook is going to the foul line.
I was just going to brag on Boom. Did an excellent job being there on the catch with a Cook, fighting the dribble, making the big fella have to put it on the deck. Let's take a look and see if there's a little contact. Might have been a little bit on the lower body or on the elbow. Either way, a Cook's at the line.
What do you think about just getting the ball into the paint more for Georgetown? They only took 3 free throw attempts in that first half. Surely that's something Patrick Ewing brought up at the break.
Well, and in the first matchup, Georgetown shot 32 free throws. So Georgetown was doing an excellent job putting pressure on the defense. And you heard in the huddle in the first half, Coach Ewing talk about not wanting to settle for too many contested jump shots. And Georgetown has to pick and choose their times. Primo Spears is the one guy that can make those contested jump shots. Everybody else got to be open looks when they let it fly.
Back to a 1-point game. Xavier led by as many as 11 in the first half. Musketeers 11-1 in their last 12 games. Had the 4th longest winning streak in the country snapped earlier this week against DePaul. Fremantle cans a triple.
Boy, some grown man screens on the perimeter, trying to free up Sule Boom. But Ahoya goes to the deck, and Freemantle ends up being open. See, that's a settle, Matt. That's not his game. He's got to continue to attack the rim.
Freemantle left is short. Here comes Spears. Mazzone backing down Kunkel with the mismatch, and he draws a foul on Kunkel.
Check out these screens on the perimeter. Throw it into Nunji, trying to free up Boom. So Boom's all the way in the far wing. Watch him come. There's going to be some head hunting. Riley goes to the turf, and Fremantle's all by himself to knock it down.
Always a good crowd at the Cintas Center. They did not agree with that foul called on Kunkel. He is still arguing with Lamar Simpson. Mazzone at the foul line for 2 shots.
I thought Mazzone did a good job taking the ball up through Kunkel's arms. He was battling in the post. There was definitely contact. Now, it was initiated by Mazzone, but contact nevertheless.
And an offensive rebound by a Cook. Spears floats it to Wahab, rejected by Nunji. Kunkel. Freemantle to putback.
That's the trouble you get into. Sometimes Georgetown will switch on-ball screen. So Spears was on Freemantle. If you don't throw it in the post, well, Fremantle's probably going to get a rebound because he's got the smaller Spears on it.
Wahab, offensive foul. That is the second on Kudus Wahab. Patrick Ewing, he is off the bench, providing some commentary to Mike Roberts.
Georgetown trying to come with some full court pressure. Just Xavier, they have such great flow to their offense, and got to do something to disrupt that flow. I've been expecting Georgetown to throw a little 2-3 zone out there at some point. That's something in the Hoyas' back pocket to try and disjoint Xavier a little bit as well.
But in their back mind, probably remembering giving up a season-high 14 threes to Xavier the first time these two teams played. Is Jones! What a ridiculous shot on the baseline. Count it, and the foul.
Great hard cut from Jones. Watch him, he's going to come into the paint. And good feel to go right up with it. That's not easy. Your back's to the basket. All your energy and momentum is flowing away from the basket. But Jones draws the 3rd foul on Mazzone.
So now Bristol with 3 fouls, Mazzone with 3 fouls. This is already a shortened bench. No Brandon Murray, no Jay Heath, both out with injury.
And that's also why I think zone could be a decent option as well. It protects foul trouble for the Hoyas.
A Cook. Offensive rebound, Mazzone. Spears left it short. Boom, the kick out. And Kunkel silky with the floater.
Job. Kunkel was out in front of the defense immediately, and Boom found him. Danger zone here for the Hoyas.
6-0 Musketeer run. Spears the step back. That's a 3. Man. 22 for Primo Spears.
15th career game of 20 or more points for Spears. He has been hot today.
Had 22 on 8 of 16 in the first meeting with Xavier. Hunter! And the putback attempt draws a foul by Jack Nunji. High energy, high octane first half. Second half has started just the same. 5 minutes in, it's a 2-possession game in Cincinnati. The NFC Divisional Playoff, sponsored by Intuit TurboTax, are on Fox starting tonight. Jalen Hurts leads the Eagles against their rival Giants, 7:30 Eastern. Then tomorrow, Dak and the Cowboys renew a classic playoff rivalry against the 49ers, 6 Eastern, all on Fox and the Fox Sports app. You know I'm an NFL guy. Man, I cannot wait to watch this weekend. The Stars will be out on Fox. How about Christian McCaffrey, just mid-season making the move? Now he's on a playoff contender. And the Giants, of course, getting that huge win in Minnesota last week. We got a Giants fan in the house in Cincinnati. They play later on tonight. Our producer, Fran Morrison, hoping that he can make it back to his couch in time for that game. And, of course, the Bengals.
There we go.
Made it to the Super Bowl last year. They are back in playoff action tomorrow against the Bills. You just can't beat this time of year. College basketball heating up, NFL playoffs. It's a sports nuts dream weekend.
Absolutely.
Xavier has led for 23 minutes and 23 seconds in this game. Georgetown has led for 12 seconds. And yet, Nick, it feels like if Georgetown can go on a little mini run here, they're right there.
Yeah, Georgetown's done a good job hanging in there, and every time it seems like Xavier's about to pull away, more often than not, Primo Spears has had an answer. But at some point, if Georgetown, they got to start stringing together some stops.
Well, that is a foul on Colby Jones, and that is his third. And the third team foul for Xavier. So now Jones will head to the bench. Fouls, of course, became a story at the end of the first half, although neither team got to the foul line very much at all in that first half. Both teams got into the bonus late with 90 seconds to play. Primo Spears continues a lethal shooting afternoon at the Cintas Center. He's up to 24.
Well, now the freshman Desmond Claude, he has to guard Spears with Jones on the bench. So Spears is hot, he's feeling it, and Claude's drawing the assignment.
Hunter through contact.
I'm talking about deep post position. That's underneath the rim.
And Wayne Bristol Jr. couldn't do much about it because he's playing with 3 fouls for the Georgetown Hoyas.
Yeah, there has to be a continued effort to throw the ball into the post if you're Xavier.
Wahab fighting for it. Double team comes. Riley steps it through and lays it in.
Wahab handles the double team, something he's struggled with a little bit. And when you handle the double team and you get to the opposite side of the floor, good things happen.
Kunkel left open at the top of the key. Good things happen, and he knocks it down. That is the 6th 3 of the game for the Musketeers, and they are 60% from downtown. Musketeers on top, less than 14 to play in Cincinnati. Welcome back to Big East Basketball, sponsored by Jeep. There's only one, an 8-point lead for the Xavier Musketeers. They have continued to pound it inside. Zach Fremantle, man, he's benefited from that today.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Xavier's dominated the paint, and Fremantle's led the charge. Got the party started with a mismatch there in an early post up there. He's got a great left-hand jump hook. These are great, quick moves from Fremantle in the post. And then got a mismatch, able to go in the offensive glass. Fremantle at times over the last season half had settled for too many perimeter jump shots. Got an attack paint mindset, and look at those numbers, pretty darn good.
3 double-doubles in his last 5 games at 18 and 12 at DePaul. He's also the first Musketeer to tally a triple-double, which he did earlier this year, since Miles Davis did it twice in 2012 and in 2016.
Well, the thing about Fremantle is he missed the first 6 games last year with a foot injury. He had surgery right before the season started, and I don't think he ever got his rhythm and flow last year. But this year, he's been fully healthy and fully bought into what Sean Miller's telling him to do. And his game and numbers are looking really good.
How about this Musketeer defense out of the timeout? Late in the timer. And Bristol bailed out on a foul. That'll go against Kunkel, his second. And free throws coming for Georgetown. Of course, Xavier in the AP top 10 for the first time since that 2017-2018 season. Nick, they won the Big East tournament. They got the #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. But they are one of a couple of top 10 teams that has lost in recent days.
This year, it feels like we say it every year, but it's even more so this year. I'm not sure we have a dominant team. The parity has reigned supreme. You saw that last weekend. Multiple ranked teams went down. Same thing has happened this week. But the Xavier Musketeers are a team to be reckoned with. They're an older team, and they're excellent offensively. And they got a coach that knows what he's doing in Sean Miller.
Brought back 8 players from the team last year. And their 5 starters have over 500 career starts combined. Hunter with 5. Ooh! Nifty step back.
Really good. Need some good shot making both ways. Oh, look at Sean Miller pleading his case for his guys to defend.
Primo Spears. Hand in his face, no problem. 26 for the Duquesne transfer.
I mean, what are you supposed to do? Those are the shots you try to force guys to take. Tough 18-foot fallaways, and Spears is just feeling it.
Kunkel, step through, lays it in with the right hand. More than just a shooter.
Much more. Putting together a pretty good game. He's got 6 assists as well. He's underrated off little handoffs and ball screens. He's got good patience and feel.
Wahab thought, well, actually, Spears thought Wahab was going to reach up and pluck that pass. Wahab thought it was going to someone else. It's another turnover. That's the 13th for Georgetown. Meanwhile, for Xavier, Sean Miller talked about it against DePaul. They did not move the ball enough. Today, Nick, 24 assists on 29 made baskets.
Yeah, Xavier leads the country in assists, and they're above their average already.
There's another one. Down to Fremantle. He's got 21 points.
That's a pet play from Xavier. Great cross screen, good execution.
Back to a double-digit lead. Patrick Ewing calls timeout.
Well, back and forth we go. Qudus Wahab rocking the rim. Colby Jones through the contact. Primo Spears still hot, but it's the Musketeers who are up 10 on the Hoyas.
Musketeers have stretched it back out to 10, under 12 to play in the half. Georgetown without 2 of their top 3 scorers, but Primo Spears, their leading scorer, has been just that today, Nick, with 26.
Oh, he's been an absolute treat to watch. Been feeling it. He can really score. He has done a nice job getting to his spots, keeping the defense off balance, punishing mismatches. Not a great three-point shooter, but he's got him to go down. This is where he's really good. Those little 15-foot step-back jump shots are his best shot in his bag. And Primo Spears has been in his bag here this afternoon.
11 for 41 from 3 coming into the day. This afternoon, he's 3 of 6, so he's done a little bit of everything. 7 assists. But this is the danger zone.
Yes.
We got to listen in to Patrick Ewing's huddle. He talked about composure. This is the part of the game where Xavier, or where Georgetown rather, has broken down at times this year. Spears a 3. And Fremantle comes away with a rebound.
I'm Xavier. I'm going right back inside.
Fremantle left it off the rim. Here comes Primo Spears. Azawaro, a chance at a three-point play. How about the big fella, 6'9", 255, taking it right into the chest of Fremantle.
It looks like he should be playing in the Giants-Eagles game later. He's got a defensive lineman's body. He is big, he is strong, and he takes it right through the chest of Freemantle, a guy that hasn't played a ton, but he's capable. Good finish from Xavier.
One of two LSU transfers to come over this year with Kevin Nickelberry, who of course was on the LSU staff when Will Wade got fired. And when he came over from LSU, brought Brandon Murray, who's out today with injury, and then Xavier. And you're right, Nick, he hasn't played a ton, but lately getting more minutes in Big East play. Freemantle gets the friendly rim.
Well, if a double team's not going to come, take your time. Most underrated thing for great post players is they take their time in the post if they can. And Freemantle, really patient that whole sequence.
A foul against Claude. That is his second. And the sixth on Xavier.
You see Freemantle just peck dribble, crab dribble, get to my spot, little jump hook, get it to go down. Just great rhythm and patience from Freemantle inside, who's having himself a heck of a day.
4 assists and a couple of rebounds away from a triple-double is Freemantle. A three. Bristol, the offensive rebound, and a fresh 20.
Whoa.
A cook. What a zip pass from Primo Spears.
One-handed, left-handed on the money pass from Spears.
And Kobe Jones draws a foul. That is the 4th on Georgetown.
Oftentimes passes at the rim, they're only open for a second. So watch how Spears, once it gets in his left hand, it has to go because he's open right now. And a cook understands that the defense is coming, so he's got to go up with it. That's a pretty nifty play from both guys, but in particular, Primo Spears.
That foul goes against Mazzone. That's his 4th. So now Bristol in the game with 3 fouls. Mazzone in the game with 4. A cook with 2. And now Jordan Riley will come in for Georgetown as Mazzone heads to the bench. Fouls could become a story here down the stretch. One more from Xavier puts Georgetown in the bonus.
This game is very similar to the first matchup. Both teams scoring, and Xavier just had a hard time putting Georgetown away. And the same thing's kind of happening right now where Georgetown's hanging around. Just feels like if Georgetown can string together some stops, this thing can get interesting, but the defense has not been there today for Georgetown.
Spears.
Tough shot.
And they're going to call a flop on Primo Spears. He can't believe it. Neither can Patrick Ewing.
Wow.
And remember, that leads immediately to a free throw shot for Xavier with that change this year. It's automatically a Class B technical. And Boom will go to the foul line. Wow.
So a year ago, there was a flop warning. And watch as Primo Spears is going to come down and fall and try to trick the official like there was contact, trying to rid the game of any sort of flopping. But boy,
what'd you think about that?
I get that there should be a spirited effort to try to rid the game of flopping, but I just don't think that the officials call that near enough. You see flopping, head snapping, all that stuff all the time. Honestly, that's my first. I've called a bunch of games this year. That's the first time I've seen a flop technical this year, and I know I've seen more flops than usual. And look at what happened here. Now all of a sudden you're in the danger zone.
And Patrick Ewing's got to be careful. He is all up in the grill of Mike Roberts, not pleased with that 4-point swing. Fremantle's been a killer today for Xavier, 26, including 2 from downtown. Well, it's a 12-point lead for Xavier and just a huge 4-point swing after that flop call. Boom hits the free throw. Xavier gets the ball. Freemantle drills a 3. And foul trouble, an issue for both teams, but particularly Georgetown. They already have a short bench. No Brandon Murray, no Jay Heath. Steep mountain to climb with 9 minutes to play here in Cincinnati. As we look around the NCAA, 10 top 25 teams have lost since Monday's poll came out. One of those, of course, was Georgetown. Snapped a ridiculous home winning streak against LMU, a team that beat Georgetown earlier this year. And of course, UCLA staying atop the Pac-12. But how about Gonzaga, man? I mean, I did not see that coming the other night.
Yeah, former Marquette assistant Stan Johnson, the head coach at LMU, did a nice job knocking off the Gonzaga Bulldogs. But UCLA is the team to keep an eye on out west. They still got Jaime Jaquez and Tiger Campbell, two guys that were in that incredible Final Four game against undefeated Gonzaga 2 years ago. So UCLA is a team that could return to the Final Four. But parity has reigned supreme all season long. Now, does Georgetown have an answer?
The answer has been Primo Spears. He has 26. Can he orchestrate a comeback here in the second half? Riley had it deflected. Last touch by Xavier. 11 on the timer. Georgetown ball.
Can Georgetown wipe the slate clean? Think next play. 4-point play has really gotten the Hoyas on the ropes.
Spears. Floater won't go. Rebound Riley. And he had it stripped by Jones. So 20 on the timer. Georgetown a gift here with the second opportunity.
Good job by Spears just to free himself up to get a shot up off the rim. Almost made it.
.12-point game. And a foul against Desmond Claude. That is his third. And Nick, that's the 7th on Xavier, so free throws the rest of the way for Georgetown.
Well, that's 2 fouls on Claude, trying to muscle Primo Spears as he's trying to get the ball both on that left wing. So you got to learn how to deny, make catches tough, but without fouling.
Spears, a really good free throw shooter, 81%. Kunkel comes in. Claude heads to the bench with 3 fouls. Rather, 4 fouls for Desmond Claude.
And Xavier started to try to trap some ball screens just to get the ball out of Primo Spears' hands, but he's been nifty and crafty and finding ways to still make plays out of it. But now Colby Jones will likely draw the assignment of guarding Spears, and Jones has been in foul trouble in his own right.
Jones playing with 3. Somehow finds Nunji. Nunji picks up the loose ball and floats it in.
Good activity from Nunji, but you got to have other Hoyas pursuing the basketball. Too many guys leaking out. Can't run until you rebound.
Spears. Kick out. A Cook a 3.
But they're trapping the ball screen, but Spears splits the double team, and now you're in trouble, and it's game on.
Jones. They will count the basket plus the foul. So a chance at a 3-point play for Colby Jones going coast to coast.
Boy, the offense has been really, really good throughout this game. Hoyas on the ropes, X-Men looking good. We'll see what happens here in the
full day of college hoops on FS1 continues next with DePaul taking on number 22 Providence, followed by Colorado State and Wyoming. Then later tonight, Pac-12 showdown, Oregon, Stanford, all on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Of course, DePaul taking down a top 10 Xavier team earlier in the week. Sean Miller's club trying to hang on here in the second half. Let's go inside the huddle with the Xavier head coach.
All he's going to do is throw it here, and that's how they win. You can't give corner threes. But listen, I've tried everything. So now we're jumping, and we can't jump them. Oh, no, we're going to keep jumping. but you got to be tough on the ball. You can't get split. By the way, every time we foul them, they're in the bonus. So we're really extended, and again, you have to make quick decisions. If guys leave the corner and run in,
well, this is what he's talking about. By jumping him, he means double it. And Spears is able to split it and kick it to the corner. So that's what Sean Miller's talking about. Trying everything to contain Primo Spears, and he's still able to get inside the teeth of the defense and find those corner threes. So Sean Miller trying to provide some instructions and pleading his case on no corner threes and containing Spears.
By the way, during that last timeout, a Cook's 3 was actually changed to a 2. They said his foot was on the line. And so it's 67 points for Georgetown. Tip out, second chance for Xavier. Those are tough ones to give up. Down double digits on the road, under 8 to play. Hoyas trying to snap the losing streak. Jones makes him pay for the second chance. That's a 3, and it's 18 for Kobe Jones.
Margin for error is so slim on the road, deficit, top 10 team. Free throw block out, you got inside position. Give up an offensive rebound, you give up a 3.
Anglin, no. Rebound, Nunji. Everything really flipped, Nick, when Xavier had that 4-point swing. Class B technical for flopping on Primo Spears, then a 3 for Fremantle. And it's been all momentum for Xavier since.
Yeah, that game certainly, or that play certainly was a big one. But at this point, Georgetown's just had not near enough teeth in their defense throughout this game. And they're on pace to potentially give up 100 again.
Jones, floater, really uncontested. And it's 20 for Jones, and Patrick Ewing says, I need a timeout. The run, 7-0. The lead has ballooned to 18. And the Musketeer faithful loving it.
Xavier's so hard to guard.
Yep.
And they got multiple weapons. They got multiple guys that can score. This was the big 3 off the offensive rebound from the free throw. And then how about Kobe Jones? Another drive, another floater, just getting to their spots. So efficient. What a day offensively for the X-Men.
Coming off a game in which they really struggled to find any offense at all against DePaul. They shot 38% from the floor, 20% from 3. Today, they have doubled both of those numbers and some.
Yeah, the loss at DePaul is the first time that Xavier didn't have their A game offensively. And instead of fighting that collectively with execution, they fought it individually, trying to make plays themselves. And that's not how Xavier's built. They're a team that shares the ball. They lead the country in assists. This is much more what you've been used to seeing from Xavier offensively. Just 5 guys operating as one, finding great shots.
7-0 Musketeer run. Spears. Oh! Man, he has been in his bag this afternoon. 29 for Primo Spears.
Well, he is a really tough guy to guard. When you can hit that little 14, 15-foot mid-range jump shot, good luck guarding it.
And you just have to think, what would this Georgetown team have looked like today with Brandon Murray in the lineup? A late scratch, injuring his lower body in practice yesterday as Spears gets to the foul line. And then you could even go deeper. What do they look like with Murray, Spears, and Jay Heath?
Yeah, you're talking about all the three guys in the backcourt. That's what you're really expecting to see. But this is an interesting glimpse into maybe some area where Xavier's got to improve. Offensively, their numbers are off the charts. Defensively, there is some room for growth. And in particular, guarding and containing the basketball. I asked Sean Miller on Wednesday, I said, you've been winning games, but what do you feel like you have to get better at? And he said containing the ball, and in particular defending the three-point line, but that all starts with containing the ball. I think you've seen that today. Spears has lived in the paint.
They've had stretches this year as Xavier. Think back to that win at UConn. Their win here against Marquette held the Golden Eagles to 28 second-half points after Marquette scored 48 in the first half. But Sean Miller has talked about needing to sustain that over 40 minutes. Fremantle will head to the foul line. He's had a ridiculous day. Now 4 double-doubles in the last 7 games, 26 points, 10 boards, 6 assists, just 2 turnovers. But to your point, Nick, about the defense, don't you feel like that's probably the next step for this team to really be a contender in March?
Totally agree. Xavier is absolutely good enough offensively. They're there. But if you really want to be a second weekend team, you got to increase things defensively. But you look around the Big East here. Big win from Nova last night in the Garden, taking down St. John's. Marquette continuing to roll.
Providence trying to bounce back today against DePaul after losing to Marquette. And then UConn, they lose to St. John's, they lose to Seton Hall. Then St. John's loses last night at the Garden to Villanova. Anybody can catch anybody in this league.
Absolutely.
UConn trying to get right tomorrow against Butler. Noon on Big Fox. Meanwhile, Primo Spears, give him 33 in the game today.
Well, all Sean Miller could do is kind of laugh in a frustrating fashion. Nothing Xavier could do with Primo Spears today.
Boom, a rainbow jumper, and he's in double figures with 10. A good bounce back from a 1-for-12 shooting night at DePaul.
Well, how about 7 assists, 1 turnover for Souley Boum? So not the big 28-point performance he had earlier against Georgetown, but he's run the show.
Spears. And a foul on the floor. It goes against Jack Nunji. Souley Boum, one of the top 3 scorers in the Big East. But he just does so many other things. Nick, you just mentioned it. 7 assists, 1 turnover. He leads the Big East in assist to turnover ratio in league play.
Yeah, and Boum is the perfect guard to have in a close game to close it out. He can create his own shot. He's great from the free throw line. He can shoot the 3. He's experienced. Talking about a guy that's the 5th active leading scorer in college basketball. But there was a guy there on that page. Tyler Kolek might be the most under-discussed, underrated, not good, great player, not just in the Big East, but all of college basketball. That cat is an unbelievable passer. He can score. The way he runs the show, Marquette's got a great offense, and he's the engine behind that.
And they were a team picked 9th in the Big East preseason poll. Claude missed the bunny. Saved back out to Xavier. Kunkel thought about it and then gives it up to Boum.
Thought about it not once but twice.
Yeah.
He had so much time.
Sean Miller might not like this one. Rejected at the rim by Wahab. 17 on the timer. So we mentioned Kolek, we mentioned Boum. Here's Boz Best.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Who are you taking in a 2-on-2 game out of these 5?
Ooh,
your
man.
teammate.
I'm going to take Kalkbrenner because I'm going to have a hard time guarding, so I need somebody to block some shots at the rim for me. So I'm going to take Ryan Kalkbrenner to erase my mistakes. But those are best athlete, defender, scorer, shooter, and passer right there. Pretty good individual players on that screen.
Our officiating crew, Mike Roberts, Lamar Simpson, Tim Clockerty, taking a look at a clock issue. And that will take us to a timeout. It is all Musketeers here in the second half. Georgetown was within 2 possessions. And then the Musketeers just went on a massive run. It has been an offensive clinic for Xavier. 28 for Fremantle, 20 for Jones. And another double-double for Fremantle. That is 4 in the last 6 games.
Fremantle, 28 points, 11 of 17 from the floor. Been fantastic.
We will take the break with them. 89-75. It's all Xavier late in Cincinnati. Yeah, Xavier has really bounced back in a massive performance today at the Cintas Center. Students have their glasses on, all Muskies late. And you know what? We thought we might join them. It has been a Terminator type of offense for the Musketeers. And what do you think, Nick? You like this look?
I'm trying to keep it. When you have these glasses on, you got to be a stone cold machine. That's what Xavier's been. I don't know if I'm supposed to be Jim McMahon doing the Super Bowl shuffle. I don't know, but Xavier, the offense have been shining bright. Everybody needs shades, man. This has been a clinic from the Musketeers. On pace to potentially score 100 again. Really impressive.
Man, it's bright in this arena after taking those shades
Yeah,
on.
it is. Wow.
63% from the floor. Xavier has shot it. 67% from downtown on 8 of 12. Lob pass. Bobbled. 10 on the timer for Boom. 5 to shoot. Boom. Tap back, no. Hunter's third opportunity scooped away by a Cook. And now Spears leaves it off to Wahab. And Georgetown continues to fight. It's something Patrick Ewing mentioned multiple times after their 4-point loss to Villanova earlier this week. Just not enough in the tank at the end.
Spears, not only has he scored 33, he's got 11 assists, too.
He has shined bright today for Georgetown, down 2 of their top 3 scorers. No Murray, no Heath, and no timetable on their returns. You just think what could have been with this roster this year. It is very talented. Many think more talented than in the last couple of years. But Spears has had to do it all today. And Georgetown wobbled a little bit midway through the second half, and Xavier took advantage.
Yeah, you knew it was going to be tough sledding without Murray today. Heath has been out for a couple of games, obviously, but you knew Spears was going to have to really have a big day, but didn't anticipate 33 and 11 type of big day.
That's a heck of a double-double.
Yes.
So one of the things that we've talked about with the Xavier team is struggling to finish down the stretch, Nick. The last 2 years, they've been on the bubble for the NCAA tournament, haven't closed it out. They have a really difficult schedule down the stretch in Big East play, including a couple of massive games on the road.
Well, how about this week? Better have your hard hat on this week. At UConn, at Creighton. So it's about to get real tough for Xavier right away this week.
2 games against top 25 teams out of the next 3, and then at Creighton, a team that was picked to win the Big East. And they're a different team at home. When they are in Omaha at the CHI Health Center, I don't know if there's a team that can compete with them when they're shooting the ball well.
Yeah, they shoot the ball better at home, play with a little more pace, a little more pop, as most teams do, but it's even more pronounced with the Blue Jays when they're in Omaha. Obviously, Xavier's already beaten UConn, already beaten Creighton, both games here in Cincinnati. You get the return games now. It's an important game for Creighton, though. Creighton's a team got a great net ranking. Clearly, they got the talent. Got to start winning some of these big resume-boosting opportunities down the stretch here, and got a good one this week with Xavier coming to town on Saturday in Omaha. It's going to be a heck of an environment 1 week from today.
Yeah, it's a very important game for Creighton because some do not have them in the NCAA tournament if the season ended today. Now, of course, their net ranking says otherwise.
Yeah.
If they can come away with another top 25 win, they had a couple of those out at Maui. That would be huge. And for Georgetown, this is a group that has just been right there. You referenced it in the first half. They've blown a couple of second half leads. They are coming off a 4-point loss to Villanova. And they've got a couple of home games over the next stretch. DePaul, Creighton, UConn. We've talked about it, Nick. There are coaches in this league that believe for sure Georgetown can get not one but a couple of wins before the season's over.
Yeah, well, you see the offensive firepower is there. I think the first order of business is try to get healthy. Try to get Brandon Murray back in the lineup. Try to get as many guys back on the floor as possible. Primo Spears is playing at a high level. You need to try to get Wahab back consistently rolling in the interior. He was such a big part of their Big East tournament run 2 years ago. But Georgetown's got to stick with it, hang in there. Certainly challenging the more these losses mount.
They have had 5 regular rotation players miss time this year with injury as Spears sticks another jumper. 35 for the sophomore.
You can't blame Sean Miller for trying different things. They've tried different bodies on him. They've tried trapping him. They've just tried switching screens there.
Fremantle. How about a Cook? He's got 3 blocks in this game. So Xavier 1 game ahead of Marquette. This win will put them at 8-1. The first team to 8 wins in league play. Their best start in the Big East. But I don't know, Nick, this conference, especially in the top half, feels wide open.
Yes, and Xavier, Marquette, Providence, those teams have really played at a high level. Creighton feels like they're starting to round into form. Kalkbrenner fully getting healthy. Had that non-COVID illness at the start of the year. He's starting to really get his legs underneath him.
Officials reviewing the clock again here. 1:40 left in the game, an 11-point lead for the Musketeers. In spite of going 0 for their last 11 from the floor. That's just the lead they had built up. It swelled to 18 at the under 8. And when they are shooting the ball as well as they are tonight, it's hard to see this team losing many games the rest of the way, even with as difficult as their schedule is.
But to me, you have 2 great examples this week of what happens when Xavier plays together offensively and when they don't. I thought Wednesday at DePaul in the loss to the Blue Demons, the ball didn't move. You had guys taking quick shots, and they lost the game. The offensive numbers were not what they usually are. And then today, 29 team assists for Xavier today. Ball moved.
So the big question then is, down the stretch in February and then into March, can this Xavier team win a game with defense?
Yeah, I think that is the question. Because ultimately, especially when you get into March, whether it's the Big East tournament or it's the NCAA tournament, you're probably going to have a game, at least one, where the other team's taking you out of your pet plays. You're having a hard time scoring. Can you still find a way to win?
So what they were looking at there was the shot clock and whether or not the ball hit the rim to reset it to 20 seconds. They said it did not, so it's 13 on the timer. And ball underneath for the Musketeers. On top, 91-80. 1:40 left to play. Jones a step back. Here comes Primo Spears. Splits the defense, fakes, rolls it in off the window. That is the type of afternoon Primo Spears has had. And folks, he is 3 points away from a 40-piece on the road.
Well, you got to stop here and bang a 3. Things got to get interesting. First things first, you got to get a stop, though, if you're Georgetown.
Xavier 0 for its last 12 from the floor. No field goals last 4 minutes. 5 to shoot. Kunkel. Oh, sneaks it around to Cook. A much-needed bucket and a timeout taken by Sean Miller.
Wow. You talk about going high off the window. A Cook is tracking this thing to beat it up and send it to the 5th row. But a Kunkel put it all the way up off the top of the glass. Really, really tough finish from Kunkel, who has really improved in his few years here in Cincinnati as a transfer from Belmont.
That's 6'4", finishing over 6'10". A Cook's wingspan's a heck of a lot bigger than 6'10".
And again, Kunkel has really expanded his game. I thought when he arrived here, he was kind of just a shooter. But now he's got some toughness to him. He can handle the ball. He can pass it. He can score at the rim.
Sean Miller called him one of the best communicators on the team and has kind of grown into this role at Xavier where when he started here, he was coming off the bench as a shooter. Now he does a little bit of everything. He's a veteran. He's a voice. And he's a guy who can get you a bucket when you need it, Nick.
And I think with experience and age comes just a willingness and understanding of, hey, there's going to be games where things go your way, you score 20. There might be a day where you score 3 or 4. But with Kunkel, all the rest of his game doesn't waver.
Well, it was a heck of a bounce back for the Musketeers, whose offense sputtered a little bit on the road at DePaul. Has snapped an 11-game winning streak. Big question mark today. How would the Musketeers respond in front of the Xavier faithful? Fremantle. Ooh, a silky step back. Give them 30 along with 11 rebounds. And they have responded with a terrific, clinical offensive performance. Zach Fremantle, 30 points, and he will let the clock run out on a 95-82 win for the Musketeers.
Well, you said it, partner. Pretty good response from Xavier after snapping an 11-game winning streak, losing at DePaul over the weekend. Surgical offensive performance for Xavier.
They shot 57% from downtown. They got 30 and 11 from Fremantle and 20 from Jones. Xavier wins it 95-82. For Nick Baugh, our entire Fox crew, I'm Matt Schumacher. Let's send it to Rob Stone in L.A.